these are my 5 favorite winter items for when I'm traveling. Over the years, I've done a lot of winter traveling on top of having grown up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. So you could say I know a little bit about what it takes to stay warm when you're outside in inclement weather. So, my 5 favorite items to take, and I'm taking them everywhere from as far north as I believe Scotland and as far south as the Antarctic Circle. Fun fact, next year I'll be able to say I've gone as far north as the Arctic and above the Arctic Circle, and then as far south as below the Antarctic Circle. But I digress. All I'm trying to say is these are the 5 items that will 100% be in my bag every single time I go somewhere that I need good winter clothes. First and foremost, the number one thing I always pack are my base layers. Base layers are long sleeve or long john style undergarments. Basically, they're what you put on as your base. They can be wool or they can be synthetic. You're always going to hear me recommend wearing wool base layers. Wool is an incredible natural fiber. There's a ton of research, if you want to do on your own to look into it, do it. It's amazing. And I know the first thing you're thinking is, oh, but wool is itchy. Unless you have a wool allergy, I highly recommend you get over the itch. It sounds really rude, but wool, one of the best things about it is it does them keep you warm even when you get wet. So, for example, when I was in Antarctica this last time, I wore all wool base layers, including wool liners in my gloves. And even though I had waterproof ski gloves on, when you're on a Zodiac and you're in water that is not very calm, you're going to get hit by waves. I had water go get down my gloves. When I pulled my hand out of my glove, I still had my wool liner on. It was completely wet, but my hand was still warm. It was probably the most thankful I have ever been to wool, and I highly recommend it for that reason. So I recommend wool base layers for like leggings. They come in different weights. Same thing for shirts, either a long sleeve shirt or short sleeve shirt. And then wool beyond that for like liners in your gloves. It's just an amazing thing to have. And by extension, for wool, my next thing you're always going to find in my bag are my wool socks. I love my wool socks. I wear them anywhere I am. Most recently, I wore them when I was in New York, but I've also worn them in Antarctica. I wear them skiing. They're just absolutely wonderful. They come in different weights. I have a couple different styles of socks. I have probably my most favorite find, courtesy of my mother, who's a hiker. I have Injinji wool socks. They're little toe socks. They're amazing. Love them. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want something between my toes. Highly recommend because they help keep your toes from rubbing. They're also lightweight, so they're just an additional layer that you can slip into maybe a heavier weight wool sock. So normally when I travel, I have a pair of my Injinjis, my little toe socks. I have a light pair of wool socks for maybe every day. And I have a heavy pair of wool socks if I'm going to go out on a Zodiac, be in the snow or skiing, that kind of thing. And it's great because you can layer those all up or, do two, do one, whatever works for you. They're so versatile. And the one thing I love about wool, other than the fact that it's warm even when it's wet, is it's very resistant to smells. So when you're traveling and maybe you don't get to wash things as much as you want, you worry less about the stuff in your bag smelling. Anyway, do your research on wool. I love it. I could do a video on it. It's amazing stuff. Moving on, one of my other things that you will always find in my bag, and I'm actually, fun fact, wearing them right now, are my fleece lined jeans. I love them. They are the best thing I bought for myself last year. I've worn fleece lined stuff in the past, but I never really moved on to fleece lined jeans. I absolutely love them. These have gone around the world with me. They've been everywhere, as far south as the Antarctic Circle and then up north into the UK. I've worn them in Australia. They're just one of my favorite things. And my big recommendation with them is to buy them a little bit big because then you can layer your base layers under them. And the whole point when I bought these last year was I wanted to be able to go out and look normal and not like I was wearing a bunch of winter gear trying to stay warm. So I worn these in a ton of places. I can layer my base layers under them. So I can, if it's super cold, I can be extra warm. Or if it's just a regular day, then I can just wear my jeans and I'm warm. Love them, love them, love them. Cannot sing their praises enough. I wish I'd invested in them sooner, but I didn't. Actually, leading up to this would be like a little bonus. It's not on my list, but another thing you almost always find in my bag are fleece line tights. I've worn fleece line tights for years and years and years. They were kind of my like intro into maybe a little more heavy duty kind of serious winter stuff. They're great. They're so versatile. I still love them to this day to even just wear on a plane because I know I could potentially get a little chilly on a plane and it's nice to just have that little extra bit of warmth on your legs. They're super comfy. They pack easy. The only downside of these fleece line things, they're heavier fabrics, so they do take a little bit longer to dry. I'm one of those people, I don't like putting stuff in the dryer if I can help it. I think clothes last longer when you dry them with the air. So keep that in mind when you're traveling or just, maybe bite the bullet and put them in the dryer, which I have done, but it's my least favorite thing to do. Anyway, moving on. Next thing you always find when I'm traveling to a cold weather climate is a puffy coat. So down coat, either synthetic or with down fill, so your feathers. I like both. I think both have their place. I've worn a synthetic and a downfill in Antarctica, and I've worn synthetic and downfill as far north, I think, again, as Scotland. I've worn them in Australia. They're so wonderful. They're so versatile. You're gonna stay warm. I love them because there's different weights. So if you need something that's a little bit more warm, you can get a heavier weight. If you need something obviously that's lighter, you can get a lighter weight. Another reason I absolutely love them is they are so, so easy to pack. Most of them, you can stuff them into their pocket. So they're very, very flat. I like to take a different approach when I pack my puppy coat. I fold it in half and I slip it in between the two halves of my suitcase as the very last thing. It just lays almost completely flat. They do make puffy coats that are meant to be like super micro weight, but still with a lot of warmth, and those pack down even smaller. But quite frankly, I don't think it's enough of a difference to warrant the additional cost. A puppy coat, it packs, and if it doesn't pack because maybe you bring home too many souvenirs, tie it around your waist to get on the plane. No one's gonna care. They still haven't included that as an additional bag yet. So I love a puffy coat. There's tons of different brands. I have an REI coat. I have I think a Kathmandu coat. I think I have one Patagonia coat. There's a tons of different brands. Pick what's best for you. Highly, highly recommend. You can wear them anywhere, everywhere. They're wonderful. And do your research on them because they're another one that's really cool. You can get into like the baffles and the fill and the stitching and all that stuff, the zippers for waterproof. They're a cool thing. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down, but we will move on. The last thing that I bring with me when I go on winters, let's say expeditions, is I bring a set of waterproof shell pants, and they're full zipper, which means they have a zipper from your hip down to your ankle. It means, for me at least, they're super easy to get on and off over your base layers. I purchased a pair of REI pants, and I will have to go grab them to find the name of the specific style that I bought. But I absolutely love them. Cannot sing their praises enough. Not only are they waterproof and easy to get on and off, they were exactly what I needed for Antarctica. I've worn them down there twice. Again, I cannot sing their praises. They're so easy to pack. They're so light. I appreciated that they were just a shell, so there's no insulation in them. I was able to add or subtract base layers under without having to worry about what fill they had. So it just made it easier for me to regulate my body temperature, getting on and off the ship. They're excellent. I think I've said they're lightweight, easy to pack, all that stuff. And I appreciated the full zip because when you're in boots and a big coat and a bunch of base layers and you're kind of feeling like a snowman, they're really, really easy to maneuver. I absolutely love them. I recommend it to everyone. Like, these are ones, don't even do your research on what works for you. tried, true, tested. They're the best. And I'm gonna throw in a bonus. One thing that you will always find in my bag when I'm going to polar regions or anywhere that there's going to be a lot of snow glare, I have a set of what I call glacier glasses. I think you can find them under a couple different names, but they're basically big aviator glasses. They're polarized and they're special because they also have little flaps on the sides of your face and in the bridge of your nose. So when you're out on the snow and you're having a sunny day and there's a ton of glare, it protects your eyes. I know they're not maybe the most stylish thing. I feel like a bug when I wear them, but they are so worth it to protect your eyes. It keeps your vision clear. I also love them with that protection because when you have wind coming through or snow blowing sideways, which can happen, I had it happen when I was in Antarctica specifically, having those flaps, it kept everything out of my eyes, and I was still able to see and navigate down the hill in the snow. So that's your bonus. I love pair of glacier glasses. They're super cool. I mean, you can just tell people, you're like, hey, look at me. I'm really like cool. I got my glacier glasses on. Anyway, that being said, those are my 5 favorite things that I always have in my bag, plus a bonus. I will go ahead and make a blog post about them. I haven't done that yet. I got so excited about this topic. I actually did this backwards and I made the video before the blog post. So I'll post it, the link down there once I get that done. And yeah, I'm happy to have you here. Come check out some of the other stuff I've got going on. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.